What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you guys the next episode of my ESO Veteran Hard Mode Dungeon Guide series, and today we will be going over City of Ash 2. City of Ash 2 is definitely one of the more tougher dungeons in the game, and is going to be one that I think this guide's going to be highly watched. It's a tough dungeon, especially for lower CP players or for pug groups. There are a lot of really tough bosses in this dungeon that are going to require the group to really understand the mechanics of it, and that's why we have this guide here for you today. And this dungeon is also very long. It's a very, very long dungeon. I'm sure you guys can see just based on the length of this video. This is a really, really long dungeon. There's a lot of mechanics, a lot to go through, a lot of different ad fights. And I'm going to be covering all those for you today. Hopefully, because this is a longer dungeon, I'm going to try to talk through as much of the downtime as I can. I want to try to avoid fast forwarding whenever possible, just because there are a lot of ad mechanics in this dungeon. There's like a lot of things that you really need to be paying attention to, kind of some shortcuts you need to take to make the dungeon a bit easier. But I want to be able to go over all that stuff with you guys today so you can navigate City of Ash 2 as easily as you can. Now, City of Ash 2 does have the exact same sets in it as City of Ash 1 did, with you have Burning Spellweave, you have Sunderflame, and you also have Ember Shield. But the main reason that a lot of people want to do this dungeon for the Valken Scoria monster set, which not only gives a line of max health, but this 2-piece for the monster set drops a meteor from the sky, 8% chance on dot damage that deals a massive amount of flame damage on impact, and then also deals some flame damage in AoE around that meteor. It's an incredibly strong monster set for Magicka DPS, both PvP and PvE, and even I've seen some stamina dot builds for PvP even take advantage of the set just because of how much damage it deals. So definitely, like I said, harder dungeon. It's a longer dungeon, but we have the guide here for you today, so hopefully we will be able to help you out with this. Now, like you guys have seen, you've just had some ad packs that we've been going through. Really nothing crazy, just some scamps, some clan fears. There was like some crocodiles and some tigers and stuff. Really nothing noteworthy when you're walking to your first boss. But the first boss isn't overly difficult. It's a good way to kick the dungeon off, and that is Rukan. Now, Rukan has two other Dremora that are helping him out, but we pretty much ignore them at the start and we just go for Rukan. As you can see, he has a heavy attack, which our tank blocks. It's like an uppercut, so as long as your tank is blocking that, he will be fine. In addition, Rukan also does this big growing AoE on the ground that you want to stay out of, otherwise it will deal some pretty heavy fire damage and knock you down, as you can see that I take right there. He also summons Flame Atronachs, which you want to be able to kill if you're able to. If your tank can pull them in, it will make them a lot easier. It will make them a lot easier to take care of, because they do put some fire damage all around the room, which can, like I said, make doing this boss a bit harder. But once we take care of him, I'll be able to go over the other two ads with you. You have a mage and an archer, and they don't really do all too much. It's really not a whole lot to worry about. It's just kind of like they put some AoE on the ground that you need to dodge. So we see the mage here, and he does some lines of flame damage on the ground that as long as you dodge them, you'll be fine. He also has a heal, as you saw him casting on himself, where as long as you bash it, that will stop that heal. And besides that, you don't really have much else to worry about from this mage guy. He doesn't really have much else. And as you can see, him and the archer will teleport around the room, kind of like the bosses from City of Ash 1. And now we have the archer. Now, the archer puts down those flame traps on the ground where they explode after a set period of time, and then they do the lines of fire along the ground, similarly to the one mage's attack. He also does have a bow attack that puts a flame dot on you. You want to block that whenever you can. And then besides that, that's pretty much those two guys. Not really a tough fight, not overly difficult, but that is going to be the first boss encounter we have in this dungeon. I can tell you right now, after this, that's going to be the easiest fight you have. That's going to be the easiest fight you have. There's a lot more tough fights ahead of you, and you got to make sure you are prepared for those. It's going to be this dungeon really kind of tests everybody. There's a lot of DPS checks in this dungeon, especially on the final boss. The tank's ability is definitely challenged on the Ash Titan for sure, and then the healer gets tested as well during certain points because there's a lot of flame damage, which means that people are taking a lot of heavy dot damage. Now, as you see here, a lot of the mechanics that you see were similar to that of the last boss. There's those fire AoEs that are going along the ground, shooting lines. A lot of the Dremora are doing uppercuts, which you do want to block. And there's also that growing AoE that's going along the ground by the same guy that does the uppercuts, which will do the flame damage and knock you down. So those mechanics that you dealt with in your first boss are going to be pretty prevalent throughout the rest of the dungeon when you encounter the Dremora, so be careful of that. This isn't one of those dungeons where the ads you can just kind of like autopilot through them. You are going to need to pay attention, so definitely make sure that you are keeping yourself focused. And as you walk through this area here, we're going to encounter another pack of these guys, very similar to the last one. Tons of AoE on the ground. You know, the clan fears also have their tail swipe as well. So as you see, we backed out of that, didn't take any damage, and boom, take care of them very quickly. Now, we have our next boss fight here, but we need to, I guess, work through some other ads first. So again, you see more Dremora, lots of fire damage, except for Dot's game and aggro's the boss, and we're going to start the party. So as you can see, loads of flame AoE on the ground. That's pretty much the theme of this fight. Flame AoE. And then we also have ads. Our boss summons a ton of ads and a ton of AoE. So you're going to want to do your best as a tank to group the ads up as best as you can. And then as the DPS, you really, really, really want to be pushing for that AoE DPS to kill these ads as quickly as you can, so that you could actually put damage on the boss. Because as you can see, we've been spending so much time killing the ads that we really haven't put that much pressure on the boss yet. So we finally take that ad pack down, and now we have Errata the Legion. And like I said, you see tons of flame AoE on the ground. Your tank should be trying to kite her out of that flame AoE if you have any melee DPS so that they can do what they gotta do. And as you see, more ads are summoned. But that's pretty much, like I said, all you can expect from her. Summoning ads, AoE on the ground. Really, really all you got to worry about as far as I know. I don't think there is anything else. But that's pretty much it. So we just continue to work through Errata, killing the ads as we are able to, making sure to try to keep them close to the boss whenever we can. That makes sure that our area of effect damage can not only hit the boss, but also cleave the ads down as well, and just make this fight a little bit quicker. You know, a lot of these fights do take a good bit of time just because there are so many ads to deal with, especially right at the beginning. So it just makes it easier if you can keep everything as grouped up as physically possible. But we do work through Errata, and we are able to move on to our next area. Really not too bad of a boss fight. There's just a lot of ads you have to deal with, so it really, really, really pushes your AoE damage dealing to the max. And as a tank, if you're able to keep everybody grouped up, it's going to make cleaving those ads significantly quicker. And do your best to stay out of the fire whenever you can to make your healer's job much easier. Otherwise, you will be taking a lot of damage. This is one of those dungeons where if you are a vampire, you can consider staging down to maybe stage 3 or stage 2 just for your recovery. I just stay at stage 4, but if you are having trouble taking a lot of damage, that can be something to consider. Just stage down to the point where you're able to keep your recovery. As you can see, I get crapped on by an uppercut right there and almost die, but thankfully between my own heals and my healer, I'm able to heal myself back up. And like I said, a lot of the same mechanics that you saw on the first bite will be on the first boss will be seen in these Zavali ads. So be very careful. As you can see, I zoned out, wasn't paying attention, and I got smacked super hard. So this isn't, like I said, this isn't one of those dungeons where you can stop paying attention because any ad at any time can just punch you in the face. Now, this is a tough area of the dungeon. This is the bridge. And actually, I don't think this is the bridge. There is a bridge in the dungeon, I think later on, where you'll just get a continuous flow of ads. This actually might be that bridge. I'm not sure. But you get a continuous flow of ads, basically, where if you're not able to kill stuff quick enough, the ads will just keep stacking up and stacking up and stacking up, which makes it incredibly difficult to move through. So this is one of those fights where you really, really, really want to focus on grouping everything up and knocking it down. If you try to go individually, the ads can just stack up, and you can have a lot of problems. As you can see, there are ads continuously running out of the entrance to this structure here. So I make sure to drop my elemental rage so that we can not only kill these guys as quick as we can, but we can move through and prevent these guys from running through. As you can see, we have these Dremora Kinvals that just keep coming through, and you don't want them to stack up. So this is, again, that area is basically a DPS check. I don't know if there's another bridge like that. My mind is kind of escaping me right now as I'm going through this, but I know that this is one of those trouble areas for groups that have lower DPS, where those ads can just stack up super fast, and you just end up getting overrun. So you really, really, really need to be on your A game on these bridges so that these ads don't stack up on you. And as we finally move in, we have this Flame Colossus. So he can one-shot you, as you see right there. He's got the Bone Flare. You need to block that or dodge it, or you'll get crapped on. You'll get one shot, as you see I did right there. Ruining my no-death run feels bad. But just be aware of that. As you saw, it was kind of like a flame ball coming towards you as a projectile, so you want to either dodge or block it when you can. As you can see, we lose our other damage dealer there. But besides that, he also does, I believe, put some flame AoEs on the ground that you have to worry about. But other than that, that's pretty much it. You got to watch out for those little AoEs. He does shoot some flame balls at the whole party, which deals some damage, but then he also has that one projectile that can and will one-shot you if you are not prepared for it. Now we are moving on to our next boss. This is a group breaker right now. We have I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. Horvantud the Fire Maw. This is a group buster right here. This is a group buster right here. So you definitely want to pay attention to this. So your tank is going to want to face this guy away from the group. He has a pretty potent conal AoE attack that if you let that face into the group, you'll be taking massive damage. Now he does this ground pound ability, as you saw, that puts AoEs all around the room, so it forces you to be extremely mobile. And he also spawns a ton of ads. He spawns a ton of ads. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either ignore the ads and just continue to DPS the boss, as we are choosing to do here. And if your group has stronger DPS, that is a really easy way to work through this fight. Or if your group has weaker DPS, what I recommend doing is once you see those ads spawn, you want to just kind of pause your damage on the boss and focus on the ad packs. Because if you have a low DPS and you let those ad packs stack up, you will get overrun and you will die. So again, working on the ads isn't mandatory if your group has good DPS, but if your group does not have good DPS, you definitely want to work on those ads first. You 100% want to do that. But like I said, definitely that's a group buster fight right there. We made it look really, really easy. Great job to my team here. But that is one that is definitely tougher. Definitely tougher. If your group damage isn't good, that fight becomes way more hard. Way more hard. So like I said, when those ads come out, lower group DPS, make sure you knock them down first. So stop all damage on the boss, kill them. But if you have good group DPS and you got a solid healer and tank, you can just ignore them and kill the boss. Obviously, if you can get any of those guys caught in your AoEs, that's going to be really beneficial because it gives you less ads to worry about. But as you saw, we pretty much just focused on the boss there. Now, as you move through this tunnel, you have a little encounter with Valken Scoria there. He says, hey, what's up? Hello. What's going on? And this is when you can take a shortcut through the dungeon in order to skip some of the ads. So you basically take this way you saw us going here, where you walk out and you kind of follow this ridge on the left and just keep following this and keep following this, because it allows you to skip a whole bunch of ads, so it just makes it a lot easier. And then right here, you need to try to just jump up this rock I think mounting makes it easier, as you see my teammates do. So I think, just, I mount up and I'm able to hop up here. I'm pretty sure our healer gets stuck, but you can mount up on this, and boom, as you can see, we're able to skip. You see these ads on the left. I'm trying to like not aggro them, but if you also walk along the tree line here, you can just skip all of those ads and move right into the room that has our next boss fight. And like I said, our healer did get stuck, so I'm going to pause right here and move to when our healer is with us, and we can actually get that boss fight started. Okay, now we are into our boss fight here, and we have the Ash Titan. Now, this is, again, face this boss away from the group if you're a tank, because his conal AoE will deal a lot of damage to the party if he faces you. Now, he has a lot of big flame AoE circles that he puts on the ground, as you can see here, so be mobile and be aware of those. Now, once he hits certain HP thresholds, he summons these big spinning monster dudes. Now, your tank is going to want to aggro them and kite them around the room. They not only deal a lot of damage, but as you can see, they leave all that fire behind them as well. They deal a ton of damage. So your tank is going to want to kite that guy around the room, as well as try to maintain a range taunt on the boss so that he can also keep the boss on him as well. And once he hits another HP threshold, he's going to summon a second one, and the second one is going to start to follow him around. So now he's got to not only kite both of those around, but also maintain pressure on the boss, or maintain a taunt on the boss so that he doesn't kill the group. Now, when the boss is in the process of summoning those guys, he cannot be damaged. So do keep that in mind. Don't drop any huge damage when he is in the process of summoning those two guys on the different platforms. Definitely don't drop your damage there. Wait until just after that. But as you can see, our tank did an amazing job of managing those twirling blade guys as well as the boss itself. So it made our job as the DPS of just keeping pressure on that boss much, much easier. So that is that's a heavy tank fight. If your tank does a really, really good job there, that fight is really easy. But again, that's another fight, just like the previous, that I've seen bust up groups before who don't know how to manage the guys with the twirling blades, and their tank is facing the boss towards the group, so everybody's just getting cleaved. So just whenever, no matter what the fight mechanics are or how tough a dungeon is, the same basic principles are always the same when it comes to stuff like, with not standing in AoEs and facing bosses away from the group. All that stuff remains pretty much consistent. So as long as you can do that, though, that fight will be very, very easy. When you drop that drawbridge, a whole bunch of skeletons will come across, just AoE them and then back up a little bit because there's a pretty severe poison damage. As you can see, we have some more Zavali guys, and it's the same type of mechanics that we saw in that first boss, so just be aware of those. And I'm pretty sure that besides the Ash Titan, I'm pretty sure we only have one or two, I think we only have 2 mini bosses left, and then I'm pretty sure we have Valken Scoria, so we really don't have much left, which is pretty awesome. You guys we're working through City of Ash 2 with no problems. This was a really, really good pug group. I was very, very fortunate to get such a solid group for this. So as you come through here, you have more Zavali ads again. Same mechanics you've needed to worry about this whole time. Watch out for the big AoE in the ground. Watch out for the flame lines going along the floor. Watch for the uppercut from the Ravager. And as long as your tank maintains block on those guys, you'll pretty much be good to go. Not too much to worry about. Now, once we continue past those guys, we move up this bridge over here, and I'm pretty sure we take another shortcut here. Yes, we do. So as you can see, if you just run straight across, except for I think someone in our group aggroed a whole bunch of ads. So it makes our cross a little bit more difficult, but you just cross here, and you come up this way, and you can it's a little bit of a jump puzzle here, but as you can see, if you look at my minimap to the right, we don't have to follow that entire path, so we're able to skip some more ads, which makes this a lot quicker. But I think someone in our group didn't realize that, so they aggroed a bunch of ads, so we kind of had to stop and work through those ads really, really fast. But like I said, if you just walk across, you can skip a whole bunch of those ads, and it just makes this really long dungeon a little bit quicker. So we just have to kind of work through these Atronachs, the Banekins. This is a Dremora there. You know, really nothing unusual that you haven't seen already from these ads before. Lots of flame AoE on the ground. Atros explode when they're killed, so don't stand on them when they die. Because as you see, there's like another bridge here that jumping through it just makes it so much easier. It just makes doing the dungeon significantly easier. So we jump over this bridge right here and just get to skip all of those mechanics, which just makes the dungeon a whole lot quicker. This clan fear is making my life incredibly difficult. So he ends up eventually getting reset. And when we walk through this door here, Valken Scoria is going to have another set of greetings for us. So I'm just kind of waiting for my healer here. But there's 3 paths ahead of you. There's one to the left, one to the right, and one straight ahead. The one straight ahead takes you to Scoria, and the one to the left and to the right take you to our final 2 mini-bosses, which really, these fights are more drawn out than they need to be. They're really not a whole lot. You just have to walk up, kill these 3 Dremora, and then you're just going to go through a whole bunch of different ad phases where a whole bunch of miscellaneous ads are summoned, and you have to kill them, then you get your mini boss, and then you can basically move on to the path on the other side where you just get to rinse and repeat and do the same thing. It really isn't anything crazy. It's just, in my opinion, it's just like something to do more than anything else. It's just like, okay, I just got to get through this so I can actually fight our final boss. And Scoria isn't overly difficult if your party is really focused and can keep their heat, like the healer is able to maintain heals on the group, and your DPS is really good at not standing in things. That will make Scoria a lot easier. But as you can see, we have more of these Dremoras, more of the Zavali. As you see the uppercut there that our tank blocks. Good job on his part. And just keep working through the ads. Don't stand in any of the AoEs. Again, with the Atronachs, when you kill them, just do not stand right on their corpses because they do explode upon death. So we do kill him. And then another ad pack is summoned here. We have some venomous skeletons, which I believe have some poison AoE when they are killed. So just watch out for that. We also have, again, more Zavali, same mechanics we have to worry about. This one is the archer guy, so he puts down some AoE on the ground, shoots lines across the floor. Just don't stand in those. We have another one, so we work on killing him. They also have the conal AoEs that you do see for most archers in ESO, so that is something to watch out for. And I believe this is our mini-boss here. Yes, this is our mini-boss here. So we have Boltake. Again, not a whole lot to worry about. He shoots lines of electricity along the ground, and then he summons Storm Atros throughout the fight, which I highly recommend killing. I don't know what the heck was going on with this one. He kept getting reset, but now he's finally here to party. Again, groups with lower DPS are going to want to focus those Atronachs to make the fight significantly easier, but if your group has a really strong DPS, you can pretty much just ignore him and just work on killing the boss. Again, you saw the boss has that channel attack where he sticks his mace up in the air and deals some area of effect damage. So just don't be standing in that and you'll be fine. Again, you can see the lightning AoE is going along the ground. But besides that, that's really it. You know, I think the boss also may have a heavy attack. I'm not entirely sure if they do. Just block it. It's the same uppercut animation you've seen throughout the whole dungeon. But as you can see, boss really is not that hard. Really isn't that difficult. So if your group has weak DPS, like I said, you're going to want to take down those Atros first. But if your group has good DPS, you can pretty much just ignore them and burn the boss down. Now, there's the exact same mechanics over on this side as we come up here. We have these 3 guys channeling onto this. We have to kill them and take care of them. And then we'll get to go through a really similar ad rotation and then a really similar boss encounter. And then after that, we'll finally be able to confront Valken Scoria. So we work through that Dremora here, and then the new ads are summoned. Same type of things. We have some Banekins, some Kinvals. You know, as usual, don't stand in the AoE, block heavy attacks. You guys know the drill by now. So the scamps like to put those AoEs in the ground. Just make sure that you don't stand in them. The first pack is never really difficult. So another pack comes down. Again, we have more Kinvolls here. We also have some Atros as well. Again, watch out for the Atro AoEs when the Atros die. Don't stand in them. The Kinvolls have a lot of DK mechanics, so they have the Talons, as you see me rooted right here. They also have some sort of weird channeled Flame Lash, and then they also have the Engulfing Flames, so as long as you don't stand in front of them, you won't be getting hit by that stuff. Then we take care of the Atro as well really, really quickly. And I think I'm typing in chat. I think that's why I stopped moving. And then we have the other Atro over there. Oh, excuse me. I keep yawning. Which my team is taking care of. We also have some more Zavali ads. Again, the same type of mechanics we've seen that first boss pretty much kind of being the theme for the dungeon. So we have the AoE on the ground, the conal AoE from the archer, the venomous skeletons dropping that poison AoE whenever they die. So just a lot of overlapping AoEs, but really nothing too concerning, nothing super, super hard. So you can pretty much just go through that stuff with confidence. And then I believe this should be our boss. Yes, this is our second mini boss here. Really similar mechanics to the last one. We have the Fulminator. So you see that Storm Atro gets summoned as I walk right past him. And then this guy conveniently moves right out of my AoE, which just tilts me to no end. So he summons again the exact same flame AoEs that you saw. This guy, though, also teleports. And when he does do his teleport, he channels a lightning attack and does that lightning AoE. Again, don't stand in that. You'll be fine. As you see, again, more lightning coming out from this guy in the 3 clouds, so just avoid them. Again, you see the Atros being summoned, which also discharge a lot of lightning AoE. Again, same type of thing I said before. If your group is really got slow DPS, deal with the Atros first. If not, you could just attack the Fulminator. But our tank does a really, really good job at keeping everything grouped up, so we are able to basically cleave everything down with our AoE at once. But I'm obviously trying to focus on that boss more than anything, just to make life a little bit easier. Because obviously once the boss dies, the Atros die as well. So we finally work through this boss. Boom. And now that those 2 wastes of time are over, we can go confront Valken Scoria. And the final boss fight of this long dungeon will finally be over. So once you are done, you walk across this middle part here. I literally jump every time at this. When you take a step across, you don't have to wait until the bridge is fully formed to run across. You can just run across. But literally every time I walk up to it, I always expect to fall, but I never do. But once you walk across here, in the back right is where the scroll is to activate hard mode. I kind of zoned out here and forgot where it was. I'm like looking for it, don't know where it is. But if you see in the back right there's an altar that has the scroll on it. And if you read the scroll, you're able to activate hard mode. Now, you see these platforms all around the room. Basically, there's 5 of them. 2 on the right, 2 on the left, 1 in the middle. And when you read the hard mode scroll, it takes away 2 of those platforms. Now, the reason that makes it harder to do is because of the fact that throughout the fight, Valken Scoria destroys these platforms that you stand on and fight him on. So eventually, if he destroys all the platforms, you really won't have any areas to fight him in, and you will basically get wiped. But So basically doing this on hard mode will make it much more of a DPS check than if you were to just do it on the regular mode. I'm still running around here looking for the scroll, and I think I eventually recruit the assistance of my stream chat to find this, because it's been so long since I've done this dungeon that I actually forgot where it was. But like I said, this is a DPS check, this fight right here, because if your team is not able to DPS them fast enough, you will eventually run out of platforms and you will get wiped, because there's so much AoE going on in this boss fight that if you do not have the platforms to move around on, you will just eventually, you'll have no choice but to either stand in the lava or stand in the AoE that you can see coming from a multitude of sources. You have Valken Scoria puts AoE down, random AoEs flying in from the lava. There's also a ton of flame atronachs at our spawn that do flame AoE. It's just there's so much happening. But This is also a good test for your healer, because if your healer is able to stay away from the boss, the healer could also stay one platform ahead if they want to, or they can choose to stay on the one platform with you. But keeping everybody topped off, making sure as a DPS that you are not standing in the flame taking unnecessary damage, and then as the tank you want to be doing your best to not only maintain aggro on Valkyrie Scoria, but maintain aggro on the summoned flame Atronox. So we are just kind of waiting to start our boss fight here. I think our tank had to do something real quick. But once our tank is ready to party, we will start this boss fight. I'm not sure here. I don't think I have to fast forward. I don't think we had to wait for a long time. Come on, dude. Don't make me fast forward, please. Okay, I'm just going to fast forward here. All right, so we have our tank here finally running in, ready to rumble. So we start with Scoria on the middle platform here. When Scoria is aggroed, he basically will shoot a fireball at you that will deal significant damage and knock you down. And he also has a heavy attack where if you need to block it or you will get knocked down as well. As you can see, I get hit by that twice. He also summons these lines of flame AoE on the ground, which you want to make sure to dodge. Again, you see that overhand slam on our tank. And then he also, as you see, those lines of flame AoE on the ground, he's also continuously shooting bolts at people that knocked you down and deal flame damage. There's also flame AoE coming from the lava on the side. As you can see, I get hit for a third time. What are you doing, Dots? And then boom, eventually he'll stick his sword into the platform and destroy the platform, and you have to move on to the next one. Now, the big mistake that we made here is we started on the center platform. It makes more sense to start on one of the edge platforms and move, from the edge to the middle to the other edge. But because we started on the middle, eventually when he chooses to destroy this platform, we are going to have to make the long run to the other one. Now, me personally, when these flame astros are summoned, I like to just take care of them and deal with them because they just add more flame AoE. And as you can see, there's enough from Scoria and from the environment that I really don't want to deal with the Atros as well. There's just so much going on. It's just one less thing for me to worry about. So once I finally take care of this last Atro, we go back to DPSing Valkyrie Scoria. Again, you see that overhand slash right there. Make sure you want to block that or our tank would have gotten knocked down. You see the lines of flame AoE going on the ground. Be sure to avoid those. He's also shooting the projectile around, which knocks people down, and then he sticks his sword into the platform and is going to destroy that platform. So we make the long run all the way over to the last platform, making sure that we're not getting hit by any AoE from the environment, and then Valkyrie Scoria is making the walk as well. So we're making pretty good pace. As you can see, I get hit for a fourth time, and I literally watched that one come and hit me. I don't know what the heck I was doing. And then he also has that attack you just saw that stuns, very similar to Petrify, so do your best to block that if you can. But your goal is to obviously per platform make sure you deal at least 33% of his health, just so that 33% per platform. So you will hopefully by the time that he's going to destroy the last platform, you will have him killed. Obviously, go quicker if you can, but that's pretty much the mechanics of him. That's all he's really got for us today. And as you saw, you see right here, we have no more platforms left, but thankfully he's only on 5%, so we're able to work through him right at the end. If he was not so low and he still had like 20% HP, as you saw all that AoE was forming around us, that would have been a much, much more difficult fight there. But because we had him pretty low, when we had no platforms left, we were able to deal with him before we had to deal with too many more mechanics. But that is it today, guys. That is it for City of Ash 2. Hopefully this guide helped you and you found it very, very helpful in explaining the mechanics of this dungeon. And now you'll be able to go and acquire your Valkyrie Scoria monster helmet. If you guys liked this dungeon guide, I'd appreciate it if you smacked a like on it. For more great ESO and gaming content, I'd appreciate it if you hit that sub button as well as hit the bell to make sure you keep notifications on. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by my dungeon guide today. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you in the next one.